How's it going, guys? My name is Jason and this is Learn, Build, Repeat. And today we're taking that wall and turning it into something epic. Let's get to it. All right, as you can see behind me, my wife has a ton of stuff in her office because we're renovating her office. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to get this stuff completely out of here so I actually have room to work. You know, I realized I didn't actually let you guys know why we're doing this. When we first moved into this house, my wife had a vision for a complete wall of built-ins over there, and I promised her that I'd help her with it. So far, I've done nothing, so I'm now starting. She's already started, actually. You can see some of the renovations she's doing. She's doing a lime wash on this wall. Actually, on all the walls, they'll have lime wash, and then hopefully, I'll be able to build her a beautiful built-in for her office. So let's keep going. You're like a James Bond villain with a baby in your lap. Hello, Mr. Bond. All right, guys, me and my wife were just talking about what we actually want to do for this built-in, and I think we have it figured out. So let me adjust the camera. I don't know if you guys can see the markings, but let me at least walk you through it. So on this side, there's going to be a bookshelf. It's going to come out about 40 inches. Then there's going to be this massive arch all the way across. It's going to be 8 inches thick, and then another bookshelf that's going to be 40 inches wide. It's going to go all the way to the ceiling. On both sides, there's going to be 16 inches between the shelves. I think 4 shelves, on the bookshelves. And then the arch, there's going to be 3 thick, chunky shelves out of white oak. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And then the bottom will be white oak as well. Everything will be painted except for the white oak. We'll leave that looking white oak because it looks good. So that's what we're going to do. Let's actually go get some wood now. There's $800 of wood. This place is awesome. Oh, I was driving home and one of the straps I tied off, the tied off end got loose, and then I ran it over with my tire, I think, and it ripped it. Unfortunately, did a little bit of damage to this top piece and right here on the trim piece. I think I can cut around it though, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. That might be a big deal. I might need to go get another piece, but whatever. That was kind of a mistake, but let's keep going. Boy, that trailer saves me from buying a truck, but my God, it's a lot of work. Anyway, I have all the wood stacked up over here, and my first sheet I need to use already over there. All right, we're ready to actually start on the cabinets now. I've moved the base cabinets back in and I've fastened them to the wall. If you're curious where we got those, my wife bought them from IKEA, so they're IKEA cabinets, and then we're gonna be building our built-ins on top of it. So I know all the measurements. Let us start by building the countertop, that thing that's gonna sit here first, because obviously that's what everything's gonna sit on, so yeah. All right, so I'm gonna try and keep the grain pattern lined up. I think I can use that. So I just need to match those two parts. All right, I think that's a good stopping place for today. We will be picking this up tomorrow or as soon as my wife is not using the office. So I have the top of the countertop in. Obviously, it's not completely done. I am gonna glue this together, and I think I'll actually make it too thick. Yeah, I think that would look better. Nice chunkier countertop is always better. So, see you guys maybe tomorrow. All right, guys, it's time to join both of these pieces. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use pocket holes. I have my little pocket hole jig here. I'm gonna drill pocket holes in the back side of those. Put a bunch of screws in there and then slap some glue. So hopefully that holds it. I am gonna put backer pieces on it, so it should be really solid by the time I'm done. So I just want a very small bead on this. This is just really to help it stay locked together for a long time. I don't want a lot because I don't want to squeeze out the front and then, you know, ruin my face. All right, let's actually try and lift this up. Ah, shoot, come on. Ah. Oh. All right, it's time to move on to the faceplate. So I realized when I dropped it, you know, when it fell off my trailer, it, whoop, right there, see how it's rounded? It actually is damaged on all four sides on one side. So I'm gonna need to remove that. And unfortunately, it's really long. It's like 14 feet long. So the only thing I have that can actually remove something that long is my planer. If I run it through the planer, I think it might be able to remove that. Never ran something this long through a planer, that guy down there, but we're gonna try it. All right, to make sure that face frame is gonna seat onto the countertop and it's gonna be completely flush and level. I bought this guy here on Amazon, cost me $50. It's a Wen biscuit jointer. And it even comes with its own biscuits, which is awesome, so I don't have to actually go buy that. I've never used this thing, so I'm gonna try this out and play with it first before we actually start using it. So I'm gonna do that now, see you guys in a moment. All right, I figured out how this thing works. It's honestly pretty simple. You just line up the mark there with a mark, like for example, right there. And then you just kind of go like, and then it makes the, like the space for the biscuit. So I have this, I have all the marks, let's do it. All right, for 50 bucks, this thing is honestly pretty amazing. Highly recommend it. It even comes with a case, not like a good case, but it does come with a case. So I've got all the biscuit holes made up. Let's see how accurate I was. So let's attach that with some biscuits for a test fit. All right, I just picked up 15 clamps from Harbor Freight. Spent about $100 on all these clamps, but should be good enough, you think? All right, so I've propped up each side on some 2x4s so that this has enough space to like hook around without rubbing on the ground. So it's completely supported. And I have a whole bunch of them, so this should be a really good clamping job. So let's pop that off and like actually do this glue up. All right, I actually don't think I had enough clamps, but there it is. I had to spread out some clamps right there and use those to spread out the clamping force, but use a few of those smaller clamps, but I think I got it done. Not bad, not bad at all. All right, because I noticed that there was a little lip, I'm just gonna hit with the flush trim router. Make sure it's completely flush, the face to the countertop. And then I'm gonna put a little round over, and then I'm gonna hit it with the sounder as well to make sure it's perfectly flat and smooth, and then we can actually put it back. All right, I took off the supports. It's time to lift it up and install it in place. With the countertop done, it's time to move on to the boxes that are gonna form the very left and the very right. You guys see that? Very left, very right, sorry, and the very left of the boxes. So kind of drew it out here. I have the cut list here. So essentially just two big boxes that are gonna be the bookshelves on the other side of the arch that we're gonna put in. All right, they're all cut down, one good side on each of them. Oof, it's heavy. So now we're cutting them down to the final width, which is 10 inches. All right, to assemble the cabinet, I'm just gonna be using pocket holes, nothing fancy. And then to cover the pocket holes, I'll just be using these inserts from Craig. You just pound them in there with a bunch of glue, like so. I'm not gonna actually push it in because I don't know if I can get out. And then that way, when I paint it, you won't see anything. Subsequent row, I have these spacers cut up. And you might be able to tell over there in the background, I have the paneling for the back. It's just an appearance board I got from Lowe's. Kind of like so. And next, we're gonna flush trim it. All right, it's time to move it in. Somehow. And as you can see, we already have the other one up there. Just this one to go.
Muscles here.
All right, there we go. We have both of them in, and honestly, they're looking pretty great. That oak countertop is looking fantastic. Definitely happy that I put that solid oak trim on the front of it. Otherwise, we would be damaging that countertop lifting those up because, yeah, we hit it a few times. All right, guys, it's time to start on part 2, which is building the arches that are actually gonna go. So my plan for that is to use ChatGPT to figure out the arch calculation and then cut both pieces of plywood, both the front piece and the back piece at the same time on my router using a string. I know I could do this with a jigsaw, but I want them to be perfect and I want them to be identical. And I think this would be the easiest way. All right, here's the game plan. So I need to cut out this arch here, the top. There's 2 ways I could have done it. Cut out this way or this way, but this way is a lot more efficient with material because I can do everything, including this bottom part with 1 sheet of plywood. And that's the arch I need. So it's 28 inches high, 70 inches long. And when I plug that into ChatGPT, it tells me to use a piece of string that's 112 inches and 1/8 long, have it looped, and then have the screws at either end 14 inches from the end and 42 inches apart in the middle. So I don't know if you guys know anything about, I don't know, elliptical paths, but it's essentially an ellipse. I guess it's what they do for orbital mechanics too. It's honestly pretty straightforward. So I've got the 2 pieces of plywood that I'm gonna be cutting right here. I need to line them up so they're perfect because I want to cut them both at once. And then when everything's done, I have an upcut bit for my router. So let's get everything set up and make this cut. All right, there we go, it's cut up, you can see it behind me. It honestly was a little trickier than I expected just because the string still stretched a little bit. And so each cut I would do, if I stopped, it wouldn't exactly go back to the right place. So every cut I went a little deeper and a little bit wider, or you mean a little bit like bigger. So the cut is about 1 inch bigger than I thought, but honestly, totally fine because I planned for a little bit extra space. So next thing to do is we're gonna use the track saw and cut out the arch. All right, with the arches cut, the next step here is to build out this piece where it kind of juts down. It's gonna be like this piece right here. It's gonna be 44.5 by, it says 8 there, but it's actually gonna be 7.25 because I cut a little extra. For that, we're just gonna use leftover scraps. And then once all that's done, the backer behind this, that's gonna be the same material that we use for the backer of the bookshelf, which are gonna be these guys with that texture. All right. All right, now that the arches are done, it's time to do the backer for the back one, obviously. So I've moved over the backer boards over to this area so I can cut them. It's going to have to be about 76 inches thick by about 80.5 inches tall. And actually, I don't have a space in my garage where it's flat enough that I can do that, so I'm actually have to do all of this in the office itself. However, I need to cut these down a little bit so I have a little bit extra space because I don't quite need the full length of it. So I only need like 80.5 inches, just like I said. So I'm gonna quickly cut these down a little bit and then we're gonna move everything over to the office and finish the arch, hopefully.
And you're painting?
It looks like that board is not big enough for your arch.
We're gonna have to lift it so it doesn't. Yeah. Lift it just a little bit.
Yep. Over that and just set it down. There's dirt on the back of it. Probably should.
Think about this. We gotta go way down like this.
Are you sure about this measure?
you grab it underneath the conduit? You girl. Nice. Alright, perfect. Easy peasy. Oh my goodness. Can you hold it there for a sec? Yeah. Got it?
It's not in the middle. Yeah.
That's fine. Oh my goodness. Alright, there we go. Sam, what do you think?
Looks good.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, now we gotta center it. The hard work is done though. This is much lighter. Alright guys, it's time for the next step, which is the lighting. I wasn't originally gonna do lighting, but I figure because we're not actually gonna put the shelving in here that we originally were gonna do, because honestly, it looks pretty good without the shelving. It makes it a lot easier to do the lighting. So the plan for the lighting is, I'm gonna pull power from that plug, run it up here to this area right here. I'm gonna put a switch facing the other way, have an electrical box here. I'm gonna run this guy, this 24-volt transformer for the LEDs that we're gonna be putting underneath each of the shelves, so we have built-in shelf lighting. And then up there, eventually I'm gonna be running like a circular light that'll sit up top there. So it should look really good once it's all put together and lit up. So I have to run this wire next somehow over to that little area and wire everything up. All right, let's test this. Make sure. Oh, looks good. And let's test the light. This thing right here. All right, there we go. So I know the connection's working. So next thing is I need to build a little cubby back there and wire everything up in there. So. All right, so in order to actually control the switch, I am going to use this 2-game box. With obviously a switch, but also an outlet for extra power. And I'm gonna mount it right here. I'll show you that in a second. And so what I did is I'm gonna use this box. I have a template that I just made that will just fit like this. I'm gonna do it a little bit different than normal. I'm actually gonna mount it such that it slides in and I can pull it out if need be. Because just in case I need to replace this transformer, I still want access to it, and the way I'm going to do that is just because I can pull this out. And then I could just use a little screw just to hold this in, it should be fine. Yeah, so it's all going to go, all the controls going to go right about here. You won't see them as you walk in the door. All right, here's where we're at with the electrical. The box is in, it's wired up, switch is working, everything's looking good. It's not, the breaker's not on right now because I'm still working on it. Next, I'm wiring up the LEDs. These are gonna sit underneath each of the shelving. And so I've just started prepping the long wire that's gonna run all the way across, all the way over. And then what I'm gonna do is I've already done, I've drilled the holes where the wire's gonna slip through. So next, I'm gonna cut 12-inch pieces of this so that I can splice it directly into that one long wire going across, and then have everything meet up over here. All right, there we go. All the wires in for the top one, and all the wiring is done all the way around. I still haven't put the, under these, what do you call them, cabinet lights. I just have this one there as a test, but yeah, you can see all the wiring back there. Yeah, looking good so far. All right, here we go. So this is the next step. These are the, this is where the LED strip lights are gonna go. LEDs are in the garage right now, but I need to cut these down. And these are gonna go like 45 degrees. They're gonna be facing back like right about there. So we gotta cut these down, and then we're gonna mount them and do everything now. I'm actually gonna mount this before I paint. I was actually gonna do it the opposite, mount these after I paint, but I just wanna get everything in right now, and then I can just tape it up. A little bit more work at the end, but it'll be easier right now, so. Okay, let's cut these and let's actually get some of these LEDs to work. It looks so good. All right, here are all the rails, or all the LED channel that's cut down the side. Same with the diffuser. And these are the LEDs that I'm gonna use. I've used these before, they're fantastic. BTF Lighting makes these, they're a Chinese company, but they're awesome. I'll have a link down below in the description if you want to use these. And the nice thing about these is they also come with built-in diffuser. So I'm using this diffuser with this diffuser and it'll be seamless. So which is really cool. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut all these, put it in before I mount it, and then I'm gonna mount everything. Okay, so I have all the LEDs ready to go. I've already started soldering the ends here. And now I just need to solder all the connections here, strip the wire and solder all the connections. And then all the lights should be in, and then we can actually finish up all of that. Okay, all the lights are in, it's looking fantastic. Now we gotta cut some plywood to wrap around the whole inside arch. And for that, I'm gonna use this white oak 1/4 inch plywood. I think it should be flexible enough. I just have it lying left over, so that's why I'm using it. I have no other purpose for it. And yeah, it's pretty expensive to use for what I'm about to use for it, but it would just go to waste. So let's cut this up. I need 10-inch strips. I'm gonna do like the bottom part of the arch and then the top part. So it's the next day and I've been running with all the lights on for quite a while. I just turned them off, but this thing's getting very hot. This is 24 amp transformer at 24 volt transformer at 2.5 amps. And I suspect I'm pulling too many amps. So I got this guy, which is 5 amps, 24 volts. So I'm gonna swap this over because I don't wanna burn the house down. So we'll do that now. All right, I've cut these pieces to fit in the sides here, and that should close the arch. Now you may be wondering, how am I gonna cover these plywood edges? Well, that's what these things are for. These are gonna be face frames. I just have them sitting there just for reference, but I need to finish making the horizontals, and then I'm gonna use pocket holes to attach both ends so they lock together and they stay together for a very long time and they don't develop gaps, which would be very ugly. Okay, the face frames are made and they're kind of fitting, kind of close enough. I'm gonna have to attach these blocks. This is just mock-up where I actually clamp it together, because if I don't clamp it, yeah, see that gap? Get a big old gap there, and there's no way I can do that with a brad nail. So I've got my brad nails, got glue, got more clamping blocks, have a whole bunch of clamps. Let's do it. So you might be wondering, how am I gonna do the trim around that arch? Well, I found this stuff. It's called flexible trim, and you can literally bend it into any shape that you want. So I'm gonna put this all around that arch in order to trim it out. shit. All right, there it is, guys. It's completely done. I also installed my wife's chandelier above us. It is looking fantastic. I actually can't believe how good it turns out. I'll show you guys a bunch of B-roll in just a second. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And thank you guys so much for watching.